brothers. That was my instinct. I knocked on a drug dealer's door once to get his side of the story, and he threw a pit bull at me. Maybe I should be the church reporter, really. All right. The number one thing that you can do as a citizen of your community, regardless of where you live, to be able to help these cops, and these cops need our help, right? They're good at what they do, but there's not enough of them. They need our help, is be able to describe a suspect. And I know you're going, oh, I can do that. No, you can't. Because every time I go interview somebody, I'm like, what did they look like? Because I want to put it on the news. And they're like, Lori, I have no idea. I was so scared. My heart was pounding. My adrenaline was going. Amen. It is scary in that moment. I interviewed a man once. People don't think I interview men, but I do, who are victims of crime. But he'd been out running his errands. It's 2 p.m. He's on his way home. Doesn't know he's being followed. Y'all, it is shocking to me how many people I interview who are still followed home by a criminal. So when you're done here today, you're done with your errands, look in your rearview mirror. And if someone's behind you the whole way, don't go home. But anyway, he doesn't know, so he pulls in his driveway, and the man runs up, and he's like, give me your car. And he's like, take it. Amen, it's a car, right? So I hear it on my police scanner, and I race over there, and I'm like, oh, I'm so sorry. What's he look like? Right, I got to put it on the news. And he goes, Lori, I have no idea. And I'm like, do you think it was a man or a woman? He's like, oh, it was a man. Good. How tall was he? Was he short, fat, tall, skinny? Oh, he knows nothing about that suspect. And that means there's a carjacker still running around green country, right? That's not a person we want out there. But he was so cute when I interviewed him. He said, Lori, all I saw was that gun in my face, and it was that big. I bet that's how big it looks, right? So I'm telling you that describing a suspect is so helpful if we can train ourselves how to do it. So, Rusty. When I came in today, I put a gun in your face and I took all the money in your wallet. I hope it's a lot. And I drove off in your vehicle. I hope it's nice. Could you call 911 and describe what I look like?
Sure.
Okay.
Oh, you want?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
I mean, I am driving off in your truck, car. Okay. What you got?
She was tall.
How tall?
Thin.
Oh, now we're talking. All right, start with the height.
Okay, I'd say she was probably about 5'9", 5'10".
Okay. How much did she weigh?
I couldn't tell you that. I won't tell you that.
Now, you need your vehicle back, Rusty. Give it a try.
I said thin.
Well, all right. Give us a try there.
Say 110.
He is not trying to get his stuff back, is he? Okay. All right. And you said she, so it's a female. Whew, good. Okay. That's important. What else?
She was wearing an orange dress, orange high heels. Very attractive.
Oh, now we're in a church now. Careful. Does she have hair?
She does. It's short.
Short hair?
Brown.
Okay. And how old do you think this robber was? Is he sweating yet? I feel like he's sweating a little bit.
I'd say 50.
50. He is not going to get his stuff back at this point. I'm just saying. All right. Anything else? All right. Stand up, Rusty. How tall are you?
I'm 5'10".
Okay. You're 5'10". I've got 4-inch heels on. Do y'all think I'm 5'9" or 5'10"? And the weight, we're just going to let go, and the age. Okay, Rusty, sit down. Thank you. I don't know what I weigh, but it's not 110. I can promise you that. I'm going to be 60 next month, so I can tell you I'm not 50, and I'm 5'4" without my heels on. But he did a pretty good job, and obviously I'm pretty easy to catch today in an orange dress and orange heels. But imagine, you have to think about it when we're in a situation where it's not high stress. But if you're in a situation that's high stress, it's a lot harder. And maybe giving a description helps you. It would have helped my guy who got carjacked. But maybe your ability to give a good description helps somebody else. Do you guys remember this story? A few years ago, I covered a bunch of little 8-year-old girls, and they're having a birthday party in East Tulsa, and they're playing on some playground equipment outside. And a total random stranger goes up and runs up and grabs one of those little girls and throws her in a car and drives off. That's a very rare crime in Oklahoma, thank the Lord. So they put out an Amber Alert. The cops are asking everybody, what's he look like? Nobody knows. But one citizen gets a pretty good look at that car. So these cops are stopping every car that even looks close. And you know what happens the longer it goes, the worse it is. So they snatched that little girl at 5 p.m. It's 10 o'clock at night, and they have not found her. So that happens in East Tulsa. Now we're west of Tulsa in Sapulpa at the Whataburger. And some teenagers called the cops and said, there's a weirdo in our parking lot. Do you know how many adults would not have done that? God bless those teenagers. If you see something weird, call it in. So these teenagers call it in. This cop comes out to check out the weirdo, and he's like, That's the Amber Alert car. So he's leaning in the car to try to see if that little girl's in there. The guy gets all nervous, and he's putting the car in reverse and tries to back out. The cop reels in, and he puts it in park. I mean, they get into a fight. And this guy's trying to get this cop off his car, and he finally rolls out in the street and sends the cop rolling. And the guy takes off, but when the cop was rolling, he got the tag number. So here comes the cavalry. We got like 50 good guys there in 5 minutes, and they yank that guy out of his car, and they discover that during that big old fight in that parking lot, that little girl had been in the trunk of his car. He dumped her in the woods, and that's where they found her, standing with a blanket on her head crying. But I'm telling you, the reason they found that girl alive is because somebody gave them a good description. So whether it's to help you or somebody else, it's such an important skill to have. And if you're not good at it right now, and bless you, you're not, and you want to get good at it, and I know you do, what should you do? Practice. And I know it sounds silly, y'all, but when you come out of the grocery store, you go into the doctor's office, everywhere you go, I want you to start thinking to yourself, what do they look like? What do they look like? Because if you can do it all those times, you're not under stress. That one time you are under stress, it'll come to you automatically. My family will not grocery shop with me anymore because I'm like 6'2", red shirt and blue jeans. Oh yeah. 5'4", they're like, girl, we'll be by the milk. I mean, I make my family and friends crazy. You can imagine, because I am the crime reporter, and that's all I think about. And I have practiced describing people, you guys, for years and years and years. I don't even think about it anymore. It's just something that I do all the time. And one night, it actually paid off for me. So Channel 6 is in downtown Tulsa. I needed gas when I was leaving the 10 o'clock news, so there's a gas station in downtown Tulsa. And here's my advice. Pay at the pump and go. There is no reason to go through all those people and then back out to your car. Just pay at the pump and go. And if you guys follow me on TikTok and Instagram, I post safety videos every night. I have a whole video on just how to get gas safely, okay? So that night, for whatever reason, I couldn't find my card, so I had to run in and pay with cash. So I was running back out to my car, and not close to me, but across the parking lot, a guy hollers out, hey, lady, where's the nearest Western Union around here? And my first thought was, all those men working in that store, why is he asking a girl, right? It doesn't make sense. So I was like, ask inside. Just go ask inside. I just get to my car. And before I could get my door closed, that guy bolted across that parking lot, yanked my door open, and tried to crawl in my car with me. You guys, when I interview these thousands of victims, they tell me two things. Lori, it happened so fast. And Lori, I never thought something like this would happen to a person like me. And in that moment, I can't tell you how fast it was. And of course, I never thought it'd be me, the crime reporter. So I shoved him out of my car. I closed my door and I drove off because he's between me and the store, so I'm not going back in. But I called 911. What's the first thing they asked me? Oh, y'all, did I mention it was fast? I honestly have thought about this a lot, and I don't remember looking at him. Because first he was over there and I blew him off, and then he was there. I don't remember looking at that guy. But out of my mouth came a description of a white male, 6'2", 220 pounds. He was wearing a jean jacket over a white T-shirt. He had long, brown, shaggy hair. He had jeans that were all ripped up on the knees. And he was wearing brown cowboy boots, and there was a scuff on the toe. And I'm telling you, the only reason that description came out of my mouth and my fear and my panic, because I was afraid, is all those times I've practiced. Start practicing describing people. All right, let's talk about those places that you've been told, oh, don't go here, it's dangerous. Oh, stay away from here, it's not safe. Where are those places you've been told in your life? The whole city of Tulsa, we're just going to wrap it up in a bow. Well, I can't really argue. Huh? Bars? Malls. How many of y'all girls have been told, be careful at the mall, be careful at the mall? I mean, when I'm at the mall, my purse is wrapped around like 30 times. You're not getting, even on the potty, excuse me, gentlemen, my purse is not on the hook, it's around my neck. I mean, come on, right? We've been told. How many at ATM? If you guys go to an ATM, how many of you are like a ninja now? If you even go to an ATM anymore, because we've been told for years, be careful at ATMs. Well, let me tell you, the trend that I've seen in the last 10 years or so, you guys, is I'm covering far fewer crimes at places like malls and ATMs and far more at grocery stores. So let's talk about why are they going to grocery stores. Well, one, they've got fresh victims coming and going all day long. And two, they know you're not thinking about safety, right? You got a list, you got kids with you, you got too much, cost too much, you're in a hurry. And I see men and women all the time. Y'all load your groceries, you load your groceries, you never even look over your shoulder to see if there's a threat coming. I interviewed a woman the other day, she's loading her groceries, doesn't even see them. He starts at the store, he's getting closer, she's just loading and loading. And finally she sees his shoes in front of her feet. And she looks up like, what do you want? And he went, bam. And he broke her nose and he broke her cheekbones. And he took her purse. So 2 nights later, I'm at her house. And I'm interviewing, and she's like, Lori, first of all, he didn't have to hit me. All he had to say was give me my purse, and I would have given it to him. Amen. But y'all, that's not how criminals work. They use violence first. But the thing that bothered her the most during this interview is that she had let somebody get all the way up on her, and she never even knew he was coming. From now on, I need you to load a bag and look. Load and then look. You've at least got to know if something's coming up on you that you got to handle, right? And I know what you're thinking. That Lori Fulbright has us out here looking like a crazy person. I don't care. The crazier, the better. That's fine, y'all. And ladies, how many of y'all still do this? You load your groceries, and then what do you put in last? Come on now. What needs to go in first? Your purse. Minus 2 things. I need you to keep your phone out of your purse. So if he gets your purse and he's got your phone and he's got your keys, you can't jump in your car, you can't drive to safety, you can't even call somebody and say, I'm in trouble. So you stick those keys in that purse somewhere else, I don't care. But that way, if he gets your purse, you're still mobile and you can still call, okay? So when you get from the grocery store, purse in first. And then you can do your groceries, and I don't care, your kids can go last. No, I care about kids, but purse first, okay? And how many of you guys, it still kills me in this day and age, when you walk into a store and that woman's got her purse in the shopping cart, what does she do? She walks away. Y'all, you can Google this story later, but I don't know if you've seen it, but I went to the Reesers over at 41st and Yale to steal some purses. For a story, okay. I was in the store an hour and I stole 24 purses. I mean, when I retire, I may do that, so just look out, okay? My photographer called me Sticky Fingers Fulbright. So, these women had their purses in that shopping cart right next to them, and they were looking for bologna or hot dogs or whatever, and I would just go up and take it, and I would wait for them to notice. Most women turned around 3, 4, 5, 6 minutes later. They're like, my purse. And I was like, hi. You're on TV looking like a dork. They did not think this story was funny. But one lady, you guys, I took her purse out of her shopping cart, and then I followed her through the store for 26 minutes. She had no idea her purse was gone. I finally had to give it to her because she was going to checkout. But, you guys, they're going to take a man's wallet and a woman's purse. They're going to go straight to these Walgreens, Walmarts, wherever they can. They're going to buy $2,500 in gift cards because by the time you figure it out and shut it off, they don't care. They've already bought all those gift cards to go spend in. So the only safe place for a purse, ladies, is where? On you. And mine weighs 50 pounds. I get it, y'all. It's got to be physically on you. But some of you are going, but Lori, that shopping cart has that little baby seat belt, so I seat belt my purse in. Who does that? Oh, quit that right now. You too. Okay, so I've got a woman at Walmart. Y'all, I got a lot of Walmart stories. I got a Walmart, and she's got her purse belted into the baby seat, and she's looking at pants. And this man she's never seen before comes up and goes, I am sorry to bother you, but I've got to buy a pair of those for my mama. Can you help me? And we are so nice in Oklahoma that she turns her back. And she starts going, these are 10s, these are 12s. He picks a pair and leaves, and she's not worried because that purse, it's still belted in the baby seat until she goes to pay. And when she reaches in her purse, what's missing? Her wallet. And when they pull that surveillance video, who took it? That man who asked that seemingly innocent question to get her to turn her back. So they can still get what they want. But some of you are going to go, but Lori, I pile all my food on top of my purse. Who does that? Quit that too. You and you. Over here too. All right, I've got a lady, y'all, at Walmart, and she is going Thanksgiving Day shopping. So the first thing she gets is her big old turkey, and she puts it on top of her purse. Gross. But she's now getting everything on her list. She's getting her green beans and her cornbread, and she turns around. I can't make this stuff up. They took her purse and her turkey. But it's not just purse snatchings, you guys. I'm covering armed robberies, kidnapping attempts, assaults, all kinds of crimes in grocery store parking lots. So here's what I would ask you to do. Take your mall, ATM attitude, those places where you think about safety, you're looking around, you're paying attention. I need you to take that attitude from now on to the grocery store. So another trend that I've really seen, you guys, in the last 8 or so years is I'm now covering far more crimes being committed in broad daylight than I am at night. My phone used to ring at 2 in the morning, 4 in the morning. Now it rings at 10 in the morning, 2 in the afternoon. So what that tells me is these criminals don't even care about the cover of darkness, and that makes them that much more dangerous. So I've got this sweet lady, y'all, sweet lady, and she worked through her lunch hour, so it's like 2:30, and she's starving. She's at a little drive-through at 71st and Lewis, and she's just sitting there waiting on her sandwich, minding her own business. And unbeknownst to her, 4 men got their ski mask on, got their long guns, and they went into the jewelry store next door, and they robbed it. When they bust out, what do they need? A car. And there's my sweet woman minding her own business. And they put that gun in her face, they throw her on the ground, drag her out, threaten to kill her. It is terrible what my victims go through. But I interviewed her that night, and she was like, Lori, people were in the drive-thru. People are in the restaurant. What are they thinking? They don't care. So I've got a mother of 5. You guys picture this. You know, Highway 169 and 71st Street where that big super Target is on the corner, and that helped me, that big hotel, the Renaissance. Okay, so she lives in that neighborhood behind the Target. She runs to Target. She buys a few things. She's running back to the house before the kids get home from school. And as she's going across that busy street, you know, that gets to the Renaissance, some guy jumps out of his car and grabs her. And he is dragging her to his car. And she said, Lori, I was fighting for everything I was worth, but, you know, she's this big. And he gets her where she could feel the metal of that car on her back. And she thought to herself, I'm gone. I'm done. People won't even know what happened to me. It'll be like those people on the news. They just disappear. At that moment, though, a good Samaritan rolled down his window, and he yelled at the guy, let her go because I've called the cops. And he let her go. So she wanted to do the interview that night so she could thank that good Samaritan who clearly saved her life. He never did come forward. But she was like, Lori, there's school buses. There's people. What are they thinking? They don't care. So I have a couple in their 70s, you guys, and they were out running their errands one day, and the surveillance video shows that he gets Mama in her side of the truck, and he's going to his side of the truck, and as he gets to his door, a 16-year-old boy runs up and goes, bam, and punches my gentleman in the face. And of course, you know, he's a little stunned. The kid takes the man's wallet, and this video makes you so mad because normally he would just run off. He stands right next to that old gentleman, and he starts going through his wallet, Mr. Cocky, right there. Oh, it makes you mad. So I interviewed my couple that night, and of course he had a bruise, you know, all down his neck. And he was like, Lori, after I got a hold of myself, I pulled out my heater. Y'all, he called his gun a heater. And he goes, I was about to ventilate him. Oh, my word. And it is kind of funny in the video because one minute the kid is going through his wallet, but the next minute he sees that heater, and he does take off running. But because we aired that video, we got him arrested 2 days later. But my couple kept saying, we didn't think we had to worry about it during the day. So what I need you to know is you're going to take your mall ATM attitude to the grocery store, but I need you to take your nighttime attitude, where I know you pay attention, you're looking around your car, you're thinking about safety. Take your nighttime attitude with you during the day. These criminals are out hunting during the day, and I use that word on purpose, hunting, because they don't see us as people. They see us as prey. What do you think is one of the most common things that a bad guy will say to you before he puts a gun in your face, conks you on the head, grabs you by the arm? What do you think they say to us first? Don't scream. What else? What time is it? Interesting. Okay. Any? Got an extra $1. Whew, we need to talk about what to do when people ask us for money. And the answer is, don't give them money, right? You give money to agencies that help those people, but you never open your wallet, let them that close to you. Don't give money, right? I can't help you. They'll figure it out. I promise you. All right. Huh?
Can you give me a ride?
Yes, and I surely don't have to cover that, but never. The stories that I could tell you guys about someone who was kind to give someone a ride, they can find a ride. There's a way for them to get a ride. There's a way for them to get somewhere safely. I just had that little girl in Jinx. Did you guys see that story? At 2 a.m, a girl comes up. My boyfriend kicked me out of the car. Please give me a ride. And this sweet little young lady gives her a ride, and the boyfriend shows up and kills her. I want you to be kind, but giving a ride and giving cash, not the answer. Here's the number one thing, you guys, that I really see that bad guys say the most before they do something terrible to you, and that is this. Can you tell me how to get to Disney, Oklahoma? Asking for directions. So why do they do that? Because there's, can I hurt her from here? No. If I'm going to hurt her, where do I got to be? Close. I got to get my hands on her. I got to get my weapon on her. And never in your life do you let a total random stranger suck right up to you unless they've asked you for directions. You let them get to you. You go, oh, honey, go up here and turn left. You put yourself right next to a total stranger, and they know you'll do that when they ask for directions. I've got a woman, you guys, and she wins $1,700 at a casino one night, and she's so excited to go home and wake up her husband and say, baby, we're rich, that she doesn't know she's being followed, of course. So she pulls up in her driveway, and a car pulls up right behind her in the curb, and a 22-year-old man gets out. And he's like, I'm sorry to bother you, but we're looking for this address in your neighborhood. Could you help us? What's he asking her for? Directions. And like anybody in this room would probably do, she walks right up to him, and she's like, oh, yeah, this is right around the corner. Well, she doesn't finish her sentence because, of course, he lunges at her, grabs that purse with all that money she just won, and starts dragging her down her driveway and toward the street. Well, she starts screaming her head off, which is the number one most important thing you can ever do if you are in trouble is yell, scream, holler, make noise. You guys, I can't. When I go to those prisons and interview those prisoners, they say, Lori, I hate noise. Noise will save your life. Even if you think you're somewhere where they can't hear you, I need you to make some noise, okay? Well, she's making so much noise that her neighbor across the street flipped on the porch light. They didn't come out. But it was like, what's going on out there? Just that porch light is enough to scare him. He lets go of her, jumps in the car with his buddy, and they take off down the street. Well, she's thinking, well, they have my purse, so they have my keys and my phone. Well, her husband has a medical condition, and you just can't wake him up. So she's going to go to the neighbor that flipped on the porch light and borrow their phone and call her husband. So as she's going across the street to the neighbor, she realizes in all the excitement they dropped her purse and her keys right there. She was like, oh, thank goodness. So she scoops them up, but they saw her. And they put that car in reverse. And they walked up to her. And now she's in a panic, which of course she would be. And she decides, I'm going to throw my purse one way, and I'm going to run to my front door and try to wake up my husband. Ladies, listen to me. If somebody says, give me your purse, don't throw it, hand it over. But her case, she's just trying to buy time. It's not a terrible plan. She chunks her purse. She's at the front door trying to bang on the door and wake up her husband when that kid who'd been so polite 2 minutes earlier, this time jumps out with a gun. And he ran up and he put that gun to her side and he pulled the trigger. She survived. She had 2 surgeries. Then she got an infection. Then she had complications. She's a 35-year-old woman who will be on disability the rest of her life because of her physical injuries. And that doesn't begin to cover the emotional toll that something like that takes. And all he did was ask her for directions. You guys, I got a million of these stories. The guy at Quick Trip said to me, hey lady, where's the nearest Western Union around here? What was he asking me for that night? Directions. Did he want directions? No, he was trying to get a car, right? So the next time, here's what you need to remember. If you're walking out to your car today and somebody hollers out they need directions, what he needs you to do is to stop so he can get close. What's rule number 1? Don't stop. You keep those feet moving. I can't help you. I can't help you. You guys, I know that's hard. I grew up in a town of 5,000 people in Bolivar, Missouri, and I get a small town kind attitude. But let me tell you, it is better to be rude to a total stranger than to be a victim, right? But I can see by some of your faces it's going to be hard for you. So if you must, add these 2 words. I can't help you. So sorry. I can't help you. Really sorry. If you feel the need to apologize, I can live with that, but I need you to walk away. Of course, my mom used to say, well, Miss Crime Reporter, what if they really need directions? And it's true. Sometimes people do. Sometimes it's us. I get it, y'all. Listen to me. They can go to a store. They can go to a convenience store, a gas station. There's all kinds of places. They can get directions, but there's a reason they picked you. There's a reason that guy asked me for directions at the gas station. So, and you and I both know there is not a cheap cell phone made anymore without some kind of GPS. It doesn't make sense. So I need you to be on alert the next time someone approaches you and asks you what seems like an innocent question. I need you to be on alert for that. But the next time someone approaches you and asks you for directions, especially when you're in the big city of Tulsa or someplace else, I need you to be on high alert. All right, let's talk about property. Give me your wallet, give me your car keys, give me your money, give me your jewelry, give me your cell phone. If it's property they want, what are y'all going to do? Oh, I didn't hear any men. Say that men part again, men. I love men. So here's my response to that is I will be glad to give you my opinion about guns after my speech. So if you want to ask me that question, but and I do think there is a time, but let me tell you why I don't think introducing a gun into an armed robbery might be the right answer just because. These armed robbers are all young. They don't know jack about guns, right? They don't go practice. They don't go shoot. They're not responsible gun owners like the rest of us. And they are not robbing you to support a family. Why are they robbing you? Drugs. You can't use logic with them. You can't use reason with them. You can't say, please don't take my wedding ring. It matters, right? They don't care. You can't say, I got to pay my bills with this money. They don't care. So what I would tell you is that nothing you own is worth getting hurt or killed for. And I know your family would not think you owned anything that was worth getting hurt or killed for. So my advice, and I do pray that you never encounter an armed robbery because it is a terrible crime, you guys. My advice of what I'm going to do in that moment, if he says, give me your stuff, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to give him my stuff. And then I'm going to stand there. I'm not going to run, scream, yell, fight, because in that moment, what do I want him to do? Go away and get as far away from me as possible. And in that moment, you know what your job is? Memorize what he looks like. And that's going to be hard. But if you can calm your mind and get a good description, these cops are amazing. They'll go catch him before he hurts somebody. But hand it over, show them you're not a threat so they can get as far away from you as possible. And I get the mentality. I work for mine, go work for yours. I get all that. But in that moment, what you have to remember is it's property. I learned this lesson well, you guys, because I had only been a crime reporter for 1 month. Back when I was just a rookie reporter, and I was covering a guy named Terry, and he was 6'4", 240 pounds, a United States Marine. You know what those guys look like. I mean, big old muscled up men. And while he had been away serving his country, he earned the Medal of Valor. This is a manly man, courageous man, trained how to protect himself. And he had come back to Tulsa for a couple of weeks to see his mom and daddy on leave, and he and his buddies were having lunch at 61st Memorial. I tell you all these addresses as I go because you guys know there is no such thing as a good part of town. Small towns have crime. Big towns, everywhere you go, gated communities, 91st and Yale, don't think you can let your guard down. You don't have to be paranoid everywhere. You just have to be smart everywhere. So it's 1:30 in the afternoon, and Terry's leaving to go to his car. I mean, think about how many times we've done that in our lives. Left a restaurant, walked to our car, thousands. 4 men in a car back up to Terry really fast, and one jumps out with a gun and goes, give me your wallet. And a witness in the parking lot heard Terry go, no. And I'm sure he thought, I'm a man, I'm a Marine, you're a thug. I mean, I can see the mindset. But the next thing my witness heard was boom. And they shot Terry in the thigh. And he died before the ambulance could get him to the hospital. So that murder went unsolved for a few weeks. So I finally called his daddy and said, let me come by and interview you, do a story about it, put it on Crime Stoppers. That program actually does work. And I know you know this, but when you go to a victim's house, it's hard. It's a hard interview to do. His daddy's got this big American flag above the fireplace and pictures of Terry and his Marine buddies, and there was that Medal of Valor. And we interviewed his daddy, and it was a heartbreaker. And we're finished up, my cameraman and I, packing up our gear, and I'm walking to the front door to leave, and Terry's daddy stopped me right there in the hallway, and he grabbed my hands, and he said, why do you think? He just didn't turn over his wallet. And I thought in that moment, I'm not going to do that. Not for me. I'm not going to do that to my family. My family is not going to wonder why I died protecting property. If it's property they want, give it up. You guys, there's an MMA champion who lives in Tulsa, and he is, MMA guys are tough, okay? But he once fought a championship round with a broken neck. What's that tell you about how tough this guy is? And his son was a big star wrestler at Union High School. So he's pretty tough himself. So they're coming out of a gym. It's broad daylight in Tulsa on Harvard. And Mikey and his son are walking to the car, and a guy goes, hey, man, let me borrow your cell phone. What is that? A seemingly innocent question. Mikey's a cool guy, so he's like, sure, man. So he turns to his gym bag to get out his cell phone. When he turns back, the guy goes, how about you give it to me all? And I think just because he was a born fighter, and he'd been fighting his whole life, his instinct was to fight, so he knocked that gun away, like, get that out of my face. And the guy shot him 4 times, all here across the upper thigh. Well, that freaked out Mikey's son, so he jumps on the bad guy. He gets shot. It's a hot mess. Finally, the bad guys run away. But I did stories with Mikey and his son for a year. Physical therapy, surgery, they both survived. But every time Mikey said, Lori, all of this pain, agony, I could have been killed, my son could have been killed because I was protecting a gym bag with a wallet and a cell phone. So I tell people, if an MMA champion can't take on some armed robbers, we shouldn't even try, right? If it's property they want, hand it over, show them you're not a threat, memorize what they look like. Now, what are you going to do if it's not property? You're coming with me. We're leaving this Walmart parking lot, getting my car, shut up, don't make a sound. I'm taking you with me. Come with me. I'm going to kill you right here if you don't do what I say. It's not your property anymore. It's you. What are y'all going to do? Where's my shoot guy? Where's he go? Come on now. Everything you got to do. I love men. Everything in your power not to go, because what's going to happen if he gets you in that car? You guys have seen my local stories that I've covered. You've seen the national stories. Your chances of survival go down so far if he gets you in that car. So you've got to do everything in your power not to go. And that's going to be hard for some of us who are 110 pounds. Let me tell you about your plan. I'm a big believer in having a plan for everything. I don't believe you should live in fear, but you can have a plan for everything. And your plan needs to know that he wants it to be quick and quiet. So your job is to make it loud and long, right? And you guys, I'm amazed when I go to these prisons and these criminals say to me, Lori, when I tell a victim to do something, I think they're going to do exactly what I say. Isn't that something, y'all? They think we're a lamb to slaughter. Are we a lamb to slaughter? No! So you need to make it loud, you need to make it long, and you need to do something opposite of what he's telling you, which is shut up and get in my car, right? They don't have a plan, but I need you to practice this plan now. Because in that moment, you know what you're going to be? Too scared to think straight. I can picture my mama. She would have been like, now, mister, my daughter gave me a plan. I can't think straight right now. Now, give me a second to think, honey. Y'all, that is not the time to come up with your plan. So I need you to practice your plan. When you walk out these doors today, I need you to start thinking, if this ever happens, this is what I'm going to do. If this ever happens, because in that moment, right, it needs to come to you automatically. So pick a plan from one of my victims I'm going to tell you about. Come up with your own plan, but loud, long, opposite of what he says. I've got a woman. She's at the JCPenney side of Woodland Hills Mall. You know that south side over there. It's 2 in the afternoon. She's been buying presents for her grandbabies. So, of course, she's at the trunk separating them all. These are for Katie. These are for Jakey. Y'all, do not sort out things in the parking lot. Please go home and do that. She doesn't see the guy, of course, because she's all bent over. And he does have a gun. And he shoves it in her ribs. He's like, shut up. Come with me. I'm going to kill you. Don't make a sound. You guys, they don't talk like we talk. And I have a lot of people, especially men, who say when they heard it, they almost thought, like, is this a joke? You know, I think it does take your brain a second to kind of snap to. But she told me later she had practiced her plan 15 years. Can you imagine? Because you don't think you're ever going to need it. And so she immediately was like, mister, oh, I'm having a heart attack. Help, IMSA, 911, I need oxygen. Help, oh, he was like, good Lord, woman. I loved her. I called my best friend. I'm like, girl, did you fake a heart attack if you were being kidnapped? She's like, who said I'd fake one? I would just have one. Amen. She's a moving target. She's making noise. She's drawing attention. She's not doing anything. You guys, they want what's easy. Forget all this stuff you see on the internet. Don't wear your hair in a ponytail. Don't wear a cute skirt. They don't care about any of that. You know what they're looking for? Somebody who looks like an easy target. That's why you need to walk around with your head up, not in your phone, not in your purse, not looking scared, and speak to people. How you doing? Afternoon. How's it going? You need to look like I'm a hard target. They are looking for a soft target. They don't care about your age, your sex, your weight, if you're pretty or not. They are looking for an easy target. You need to walk around like this is not going to be an easy thing for you today, right? Now, not like my mama used to say, and you look like a woman to be reckoned with. Now, not all that, but you need to look like someone who's not going to be an easy target. So my next lady, she's young. She's like 25. She's coming out of a bank at 21st and Lewis on her lunch hour, and when she comes around her car, a guy in a pickup had parked next to her, so he jumps out. He's got a big knife, like a hunting knife, big. And he's like, shut up, don't make a sound, I'm going to kill you. You know all the things they say. And she had a totally different plan. She was like, boom. I mean, she pretended to pass out on the park. Girl, you are getting in my truck now. Y'all, if you can do nothing else but lay yourself out on that parking lot, I would like to see a bad guy scoop you up and put you in that car without some kind of scene, right? Have you ever taken a kid who's fallen asleep on the couch and you are trying to get him to the bed? Do they not weigh 1,000 pounds more than they should? These people who protest, does one cop pick up one protester? No, it takes like 4 big old cops to get one protester. Y'all, be a protester, right? Lay out, dead weight. There's no way he's getting you in that vehicle. And if there is a SUV or a truck or something nearby and you're small enough, roll under it. Because that gives you added protection in that moment, because what's he going to do? Now get out of there. Now come on. The only problem with her plan, you guys, is it doesn't make what? Noise. Thank you for listening. Okay, somewhere in here. You guys, if you can scream, scream. I'm a big believer in it. I cannot tell you how many victims I've interviewed, though, that say, Lori, it froze right there. You guys, adrenaline is a powerful chemical. And I think I'm the woman that could scream. I mean, I don't know, but I think because when I'm vacuuming at the house, my husband jumps out of the closet and scares me. Why do boys think that's funny? But I'm always like, wah! And then he gets mad because I scared him. But even I don't know, right? In that moment of true fear, what I'd be able to do in that moment. If you can scream, scream. If you have a car alarm button, I guess you can push it. But y'all, nobody listens to car alarms. You don't, I don't, cops don't. I mean, it's just a sound we hear too often. But I am a big believer, you guys, in a whistle as a crime prevention tool. Because if you come out somewhere and hear this, people go, who's got a whistle? Why are you blowing a whistle? What's a whistle? Right? That's still a sound that gets people's attention. Put this on my gear shift. Every time I get out to run into the store, the grocery store, the bank, the Walmart, wherever, I put it on. You've got to have it where you can access it because, you guys, these things happen so fast. You won't have time to go, excuse me, sir, hold my brush, hold my wallet. I've got a whistle in here somewhere. Now, come on. You got to have it out where you can access it. I have a whole bag, you guys, of whistles. I want you to take them today. To you, your friends, your families, your church ladies, take them. I don't want to leave with a single whistle today, okay? All right, you guys, here's my last lady. I don't really approve of her plan, but you got to do what you got to do. So she is one of my all-time favorite interviews. She's at the grocery store, loading her groceries, not paying attention, middle of the afternoon, because, nobody pays attention. And the guy has a gun, this one does, and he's like, shut up, don't make a sound. But in addition to saying all that, he was using every vulgar, disgusting cuss word ever invented. You know a woman like this. She's sitting in this room because when she heard that foul, disgusting language, she was not scared. What was she? Y'all, she was so mad that she comes up and she's like, how dare you speak to me that way? And she put her finger down her throat and she threw up all over his shoes. I love her. The FBI says in that moment, you guys, and here's what you're going to have to tell yourself deep down. It's going to be hard for any of us, men and women, to look at a guy with a gun, a weapon, and say no. It's going to take a lot more courage than we can imagine sitting here in this room. But the FBI says he will only pull the trigger 1 in every 100 attempts. Why does he not want to pull that trigger? It makes noise. He doesn't want the noise. The FBI says of that 1 in 100, well, he'll actually pull the trigger. He'll hit you 1 in every 10. And especially if you're running around, you're a moving target behind a car, trying to get cover, that kind of thing. But here's what you've got to tell yourself deep down, is even if he pulls the trigger, and even if he hits you, you are better off being shot right there in that parking lot than wherever he was going to take you. Because people can find you, they can notify your family, they can get you an ambulance. You are better off being shot right there than have him taking you. And I've told my family, I'm not going. He's going to have to do whatever he's going to do right there. Now, you know me, I'm about having a plan for everything. What if somehow he gets you in the vehicle? Let's talk about your plan, whether you're the driver or whether you're the passenger, okay? So I've got a nurse, she's getting out of her car, and her purse gets hung, so she's unwinding it. I don't know how criminals know, but they find that 1 minute when you're not paying attention, and that's when they get you. So she's unwinding her purse, he gets her from behind, throws her in a truck, and drives off. I mean, she doesn't have time for a plan, he's just got her. And he takes her out to a house in West Tulsa, y'all, and he kept her for 3 days. And it was bad. Beat her and assaulted her, and on the 3rd day, he's done with her, and I think she knows it, and he's going to go and kill her. And so he makes her drive, and he gets in the passenger seat with a gun, and they're driving south on 75 Glenpool. And there were no cable barriers then, and at 141st, I think it's a quick trip now, but it was just a gas station. But he's telling her, don't you flag anybody, don't you wave anybody, or I'm going to kill you. You know what she's thinking? I'm dead anyway. So that gave her the courage, because when they got to that parking lot where the gas station was, she saw an empty cop car. And something about that gave her the power. She took that car and she drove through that grass median. She drove through the northbound lanes of 75. She whipped into that parking lot. Bam! Cop car. Now that'll get somebody's attention. And it did, and it saved her life. So if he's making you drive, do you have options? Yes. You slam into a tree. You slam into a pole. You slam into an empty parked car. You stop that car as soon as humanly possible before he gets you to where you're going, because you know what kind of death that's going to be. What if you're so she was the driver. What if you're the passenger? So she was the driver. So I've got a woman from Owasso. She had a baby maybe 2 months before, so her mama's babysitting, and she's just running a couple errands. One of her errands is a car wash. How many times, y'all, we sat at a car wash waiting our turn, right? And so she's gathering up the trash. Don't do that, right? Do that at home. You guys, cops say we should live with our heads on a swivel. We don't, right? We're not looking around all the time. We're in our phones, kids, purses, whatever. Everywhere you go, your doors have got to be locked. Even on a beautiful day like this week, we're going to have your windows have got to be up. So she's sitting there, and she doesn't see him because she's busy. He opens her door, shoves her in the passenger seat. He drives in. He jumps in to drive, and he takes off. And she starts saying, I'm a new mama. I just had a baby. You can have my money. You can have my Jeep. You can have it all. And he says to her, I don't want any of that. I want you. Well, now it's different, right? Because it's not property. And I can't imagine the courage this took, but the cops estimate they were doing about 60 on Harvard when she opened that door and threw herself out. I waited weeks to interview her because she had to have a skin graft on her right leg, her right arm, and part of her right face. And we were in her living room, and that baby was in that bassinet. And I'm like, how amazing are you to be alive to raise this baby? You are better off being hit in traffic than wherever he was going to take you. So if you're the passenger, the first stop sign, the first yield sign, the first corner, you've got to get out of that car. So the goal is, don't be taken. But if you are, do you have options? Yes. Make sure you get out of that car, stop that car, crash that car, whatever you have to do. All right, let's talk about this. I need something. Here we go. How many of you all have been home and somebody knocks and you are not in the mood to deal with it, so you get quiet and pretend you're not there? Y'all chicken to raise your hands, but I know you've done it. Come on. Don't ever do that again. That is the single worst thing you can ever do if someone knocks on your door is pretend you are not home. And please teach children this who are going to be home for a little bit by themselves. Don't get quiet and pretend you are not there. You guys, I've interviewed a lot of criminals. I've probably interviewed more burglars than anything. And I don't know, hundreds of burglars. And I'm telling you, the vast majority of these home burglars don't want you home. They are looking for an empty house. And that's why the vast majority of home break-ins happen Monday through Friday, 9 a.m. to 3:30 p.m. Because they think we're what? Gone. Look at us. We're gone. But they're not sure, so they knock. Cops call it a knock and kick. They'll knock the front door, the back door, a window. They don't hear footsteps. They don't hear music. They don't hear anything. So what do they think the house is? Empty. And then boom, right? The knock and kick. And it's terrible today. If you go home and someone's kicked in your door and taken your stuff, people go, it's just a property crime. That is personal. When they're in your home taking your stuff, it's terrible. But y'all, it is way worse if they kick in that door and there you are in there pretending like you're not home. Now you are face to face with a criminal, and that is not something that we want to deal with. Are we going to have a plan for that? You know I am. But in that moment, let's avoid that altogether. So the next time they knock, make sure they know this house is not empty. You can get heavy-footed. You can blast the TV or the radio. I told my mama back when she was alive, she would go to the door and go, James, honey, stop cleaning the shotgun and go feed the pit bulls. They don't know. Make noise, make noise, make noise. You guys, I cannot tell you when the burglar hits a house, is knocking on a door and there's people there, they will go to another house. They are looking for an empty house, the vast majority of them. So make sure they know this house is not home. And that's the one thing I like about these little doorbell things. Even if you're not home and someone's on your porch, you can talk through it and make it seem like somebody is home. I've got a little 14-year-old kid, skinny little kid, cute, mouth full of braces, and his mama's like, you get in the shower. I'm taking your sister to her birthday party. I'm going to come back and get you and take you to basketball practice. It's just life. So he hops in the shower. Mom and the sister leave, and he hears bam, bam, bam on the back door. Well, a 14-year-old boy doesn't get out of the shower and go, look. And then they kick in the door. So he wraps up and looks down the hallway, and they've kicked the door. The guy comes through the living room, goes to the front door, unlocks it, and lets a second guy in. You've got two burglars in a house with a 14-year-old boy who doesn't know what to do, of course. So he gets quiet, and he gets in his closet. And then I think it was God because he thought, I didn't close my bedroom door. So he gets out, and he's closing his bedroom door. It makes this loud squeaking sound. And they realize someone's home, and they leave. They don't want somebody home. Make noise, make noise, make noise. Now, if pretending you're not there is the worst thing you can ever do when someone knocks, what's the second worst thing you can do when somebody knocks? Open the door, men. Listen, I know men think they can open the door to anybody, but in this case, I've interviewed far more men who are hurt or something terrible has happened because they open a door. A Glenpool man who was almost beat to death on his front porch. It just goes on and on. You guys can't open the door. You can talk through the door. How can I help you? What can I do? What do you need? Do you let them in to use the bathroom? Do you let them in to use the phone? Do you let them in to get a drink of water? You can help somebody, but you can't let them in. I got so many stories, but I got a 35-year-old man. He's selling a classic Camaro, so it's parked on the curb. And of course, people knock, "Hey man, can I look at your Camaro?" So he's like, "Sure." He turns and gets the keys off the table, shows them the car. Well, one Friday afternoon, he gets off work about 3, a couple hours early, and goes home. And no sooner had he come through than somebody was knocking. So he opens it, and they're like, "Hey man, I brought my buddy to look at your Camaro." And he goes, "Oh yeah, you were here the other day. Yeah, I'll get my keys." And he turns, and when he turns back, the friend had a shotgun hiding behind his leg. And they pull it out and they shoot him with that shotgun, point blank range. So he's laying there bleeding, and they're stepping over him and getting stuff, and they put it in the car. But his wife decided that day, "I'm going to take off early and surprise him." And thank God she did, because she got him to the hospital and saved his life. You guys, I've got story after story of people opening the door. What if they say, "I'm having a heart attack, I've been shot, I'm running from someone"? What are y'all going to do? You talk through that door and say, "I'm praying for you. Got help coming. You stay right there close to my door where you're safer." You can help that person without putting yourself in harm's way. Talk through the door. Now, let's talk about, you guys, 95% of all home burglars don't want you home. Let's talk about the other 5%. Let's have a plan for that. What if they don't care? They're the kind of burglar that's going to come in your house. They don't care who's in there. What is your plan for that? I say go home this afternoon. I heard that. You are my people. Here's my advice for people who maybe don't or can't or don't want to take a stand. But you guys, especially if children are home, you guys go home and this afternoon and stand in your house and think to yourself, if they come in while I'm here, could, like a child or someone who maybe is not willing or able to take a stand, if they come in, could you get out? That's really the safest thing. If they come in, you get out, go to a neighbor if there's one closer, just call 911 or go hide, do something. And that's what I would teach a child, right? If they're home and someone kicks the door. Now, you guys, my house, I don't have a back door, which is kind of weird. So if they came in my front door, I'd have to go toward my garage. Well, that's obviously not a plan. So I have one room in my house that locks, and I recommend everybody have one closet, one bathroom, one something that locks. My plan is to get in that room, lock that door, call 911 with my weapon of choice. And I don't care what your weapon of choice is. People say, "Lori, I don't have weapons." You've got Tonka trucks, baseball bats, potpourri bowls. I've seen a potpourri bowl that could hurt somebody, right? A candlestick. You get your weapon of choice, gun, whatever it is. But if you can, if they come in, get out. If not, be prepared. And of course, you don't even have to retreat that much. If you are a person who is willing and able to defend your life, then that's what you can do. Legally, of course, everybody knows that. But that's a plan you need to have as well. So what are you going to do when they knock? And what are you going to do if they kick that door while you're there? Have a plan for that. All right, you guys, let's talk about this. I love how nice you are. I love that I grew up on a farm in a small town. Those are just unique people, right? Your kindness is wonderful. And I would never say stop being kind. Do not leave here going, "Lori Fulbright said I could never help anybody ever again." That is not my message. If the good quits being good, who wins? The evil. And I don't want that. So yes, please keep being good. But here's what I'm asking you today. The next time that someone needs your help, rather than going, if I'm like, "Can you help me? Can you help me?" and you just jump into action, which is sweet and I love you all for it, but it's going to get you killed. I've seen it in my job. So the next time someone's like, "Can you help me? Can you help me? Please help me." I want you to go, "Absolutely." Give me 3 seconds, you guys. I'm asking you for 3 seconds. And think to yourself, how can I help this person? But be safe doing it. There's always a way to help someone without putting yourself in harm's way. But right now, you don't think like that. You just jump in. So another experiment that I did for a story, you guys can Google all these stories later, but I took an undercover Tulsa County deputy out to Tulsa Hills. You know, there's outside shopping areas. Okay. And I gave him a diaper bag. I mean, he had just normal clothes on. I gave him a diaper bag on one shoulder, and I gave him a woman's dress in like a TJ Maxx bag or something. And he went up to 17 women with this story. I am sorry to bother you, but my baby is asleep in the car, and he does not feel good today, and I don't want to wake him up, but I've got to return this dress for my wife or she is going to kill me. Would you just go stand by my car, stand by it, and make sure my baby's okay and nobody bothers him? I'm going to go return this dress. I'll be back in 5 minutes. It would help me so much. Out of those 17 women, how many do you think left the safety and security of a storefront where people were coming and going and went deep into a parking lot with a man they had never seen to an SUV. 16 of the 17. And of course, that's right. So, he brings them out there. We pop out, me and my cameraman, and I'm like, you're on TV looking like a dork. They did not think this was funny either. And I was like, why are you out here? What did all 16 say? The baby. Y'all, criminals know what tugs at our hearts. And unfortunately, criminals know how to use our kindness against us. Remember Ted Bundy, one of the worst serial killers ever? Always had his arm in a sling, always had crutches, always needed what? Help. Can you help that guy in my parking lot, my experiment? Can you help him without putting yourself in harm's way? Yes, I want you to help him. Please help him. But you could say, look, I know that you don't want to drag the baby in the store and wait in line, but just bring the car seat right here. All people coming and going, lots of safe. I'll just make sure he's okay while you go take as long as you need. You are helping him, but you're not putting yourself in harm's way. Of course, my girlfriend goes, who lets a stranger watch their baby? I'm like, keep up. It's a pretend baby. There ain't no real baby. We got no real baby. Or you could say to him, yes, of course I'll go to your car and make sure your baby's safe, but first I'm going to go in the store and get me 2 or 3 people to come with me. Right? There is safety in numbers. You guys, but we got 20-year-olds, 40-year-olds, 60-year-olds, and they didn't even hesitate. And then they get out there and they were like, Lori, yes, he could have conked you on the head, shot you, dumped you in that truck, taken you, and we would never have seen you again, right? So can you help that guy? Yes, I want you to help, but be safe doing it. If you see a man beating up a woman in a parking lot, do you run over there? No. Can you get in your car, lock the doors, honk your horn, show them you're videotaping him, taking a picture of him and his tag, and show you're on the phone to 911? Yes. That's how you help that person in need without putting yourself in harm's way. You guys, I have a man, and he's 55. He works for American Airlines, so he gets off at 11 o'clock at night. He's coming down 75, and on the side of the road is a pickup with the hood up and a young man, 24 years old, standing there. What does my American guy do? Pulls over, because he's nice. And he says to the young man, what's up? And he's like, ugh, my truck's not working, but see those apartments 2 miles up the road? If you'll just run me up there, I'm going to get some tools for my buddy, and I'll come back and fix it. So what's my American guy say? Hop in, because he's nice. So they get about a half a mile up that road, and that young man pulls out a knife and slashes my victim's throat. And he lived, and I don't know how, you guys, because when I interviewed him, I swear he had 100 stitches. But even then, I was so impressed with this man. He said, Lori, even with this, I am not going to stop helping people. It's who I am. It's how I was raised. But the next time I see somebody having car trouble, I will call 911 and say, go help that person. So you can help without putting yourself in harm's way. And you guys, I have a lot of people faking car trouble to get you to stop. So I want you to help, but I want you to think, how can I help and be safe doing it? Okay? So you guys, one of the things that, of all the things we talk about today, if we do some of these things on a regular basis, it will make you safer. But my speeches are not about fear. I don't believe in living in fear. With all the things that I see in my job every day, I don't even tell my worst stories. Y'all know that. You've seen my worst stories on the news. But it's not about living in fear. It's about having a plan, because information is power. Now you know they're striking during the day. Now you know they're going to the grocery store. Now you know what to do if they you or your property. Now you know what to do if they knock on your door. Information is powerful. Now, could you and I both do everything right in our entire lives and still encounter a criminal? Yes. It's just the world we live in, right? It could happen. So I have victims all the time who say, oh, maybe I should have done this. Why did I do this? It's not up to the victims, right? It's up to the criminals. They're the ones making all those decisions. So of all the things we've talked about today, though, here's the most important. You have to have a survival mindset. You have to tell yourself, no matter what this person does to me, I am going to live through it. Because when I sit down with all those thousands of victims, the one thing I say to them is, for you in that moment, in that circumstances, I know you did the right thing. You know how I know it? Because you're alive to tell me your story. You need to be alive to tell me your story. I've seen victims play dead, go along, do exactly what they're told, fight back. And I believe in that moment, you will know what you're supposed to do to survive. And I believe that's a God-given instinct. That creepy feeling that we've all had since we were kids that now we ignore. Like, I knew something was wrong, Lori, but I didn't want to be rude. I didn't want to hurt their feelings. I didn't want to offend somebody. Who cares? We're not worried about being rude, offending nobody, right? If your gut instinct is telling you something, you need to trust it. I don't care if it makes sense to you or not. That's a God-given gift, and you should use it. I've got a woman, you guys, and she gets up every morning at 5 a.m., and she fixes her husband lunch and, kisses him goodbye and sends him to work. And then she goes and turns off the kitchen light and goes back to bed until 7, and then she gets her 12-year-old daughter up for school. So one morning she, fixes her husband's lunch and kisses him goodbye, and just before she can even hit that kitchen light, she hears footsteps. So what does she think? Honey, what'd you forget, right? It's not him, and it's a man who says to her, I know you have a 12-year-old daughter in that back bedroom, and if you don't do exactly what I tell you, I'm going to kill you and her both. So what do you think she did in that moment? Exactly what he told her, because she's got to save her daughter's life. So he sexually assaulted her in that kitchen, but he let them both live. And when I did the interview with her, I said, for you in that moment, in that circumstance, that's the right thing to do because you're allowed to tell this story. I have an 18-year-old girl in Sapulpa, and she's a long-distance runner, and she's running up a path, and there's a guy straddling a bicycle, and he pulls up his shirt, and he's got a gun, and he tells her to get off the path, and she does. And then he gets her down on her knees in the grass. But it's very weird to me. I've never seen it before, but he puts away the gun and pulls out a knife. So to have two weapons is weird. But something about that gun going away really helped her. And you know what he wants. And she decides no, and she grabs the knife. And they start fighting and rolling around the grass. And she's got blood pouring out of her hand. And she gets it turned around and stabs him in the thigh. And then she runs into a restaurant. Can you imagine sitting in a restaurant and seeing this poor child come in crying and bleeding? But they helped her, of course. But I told her, for you in that moment, in that circumstance, fighting back was the right thing because you're allowed to tell the story. So I need you to have a survival mindset. I am going to live through this encounter. I just interviewed a woman yesterday, you guys, and he stabbed her 7 times in the neck. So she's losing so much blood. She's begging, she's pleading, she's tried everything. He's not stopping until she finally thinks, as she's about to pass out and die, she says, you know what? Why don't you call the cops and tell them you found me this way, and I won't tell anybody it was you. And he called 911. And the minute they got there, she said, he did this to me. But she lived to tell that story. And he's in prison for 28 years. So I need you to have a survival mindset. All right, does anybody have questions for me about crimes you've seen on the news, things you've worried about, situations you've been, yes?
How do you handle it when you see a woman doing this with a thing?
So all over the internet, supposedly that is a sign that a woman is in trouble, is if they do those 3 fingers. So I would say, if you are in a position to call 911 and get a good description of that person and say, she appears to be making a signal that says she's in trouble, that would be it. If it's a situation where you're in public and there's a lot of people, right, you could just say, oh, Susie, I haven't seen you for a while. How are things going? I haven't talked to you and your folks, to give her that moment of comfort and give that guy some pause. But I mean, would I attack him? Would I jump him? Would I do any of those things? No. But you might be able to talk to them long enough to get help there, call for help, describe him, things like that. I haven't ever interviewed anybody who's used that signal, but I have seen that online, that is a universal signal now that someone's in trouble. But I think you could stall them and get help there. But I wouldn't tackle him. Yes, sir.
I'll say this, back when I was in the service, it was like 4 or 5 of us walking together. 2 of them lost their wallets out of their back pocket. Guys never felt it.
Mm-hmm.
For about
Front
8
pocket.
years, I've carried mine in my front pocket. And also, carry a small gun. Don't go ahead and get a 9mm hand grenade or whatever. Get a small one, because I'm going to tell you something. If you get in trouble with a guy, you're going to be real close. And that big one ain't going to get you in trouble. But that little one can get you out of trouble quick.
It can. So,
Practice,
yes.
practice.
So let's talk about guns for a minute. And my husband has always carried his money in his front pocket. I think that's really important. And girls, you should have your purse zipped when you're carrying your money. And if you're traveling, for sure, it should not be in a backpack behind you, but in front of you. So here's what I tell people about guns, you guys, is 1, you've got to decide before you buy a gun that you can kill somebody. And not everybody can do that, and that's fine. My mama, when she was alive, could never have killed somebody. She was never a gun person. She slept with a big old hammer under her pillow. But hey, weapon of choice. But you've got to know deep down inside yourself, because a gun is not to warn people, a gun is not to injure people. You own a gun because you're going to kill somebody, because they're affecting your life or someone else's. So that's the first step. And then 2, what he said is, you've got to practice. I've got women who go, well, Lori, my husband's had guns in there for 20 years. I've never touched one, but I'm sure I could figure it out. That is not the time to figure it out. Go practice. Go practice not just standing, but go practice on your knees, because what if you're behind your bed? Go practice moving. Practice, I think that's really important. And I'll tell you, I had a guy once, you guys, he's at the grocery store. And remember how they used to have like a little bank up front, like an Albertsons had the little bank. So he's in line to check out, and he sees the guy come in with the hoodie and, clearly out of place. So he's got his eye on him. He jumps up on the counter, and he's threatening to kill all the bank employees. So my guy is a concealed carry guy, which I admire. And he, very fast, thinks, if I shoot and miss, I'm going to hit one of those bank employees. If he shoots back, I've got all these mamas and babies behind me. So it's a very fast thought process, but he waits until the guy steps off the counter, and he's still very much threatening to kill people. He's not running out the door. And my guy steps out and drops him. I mean, that's the person I want carrying, because that's a great judgment, fast judgment, and he's practiced, he knows his skill, he's comfortable with that. Likewise, I had some gang members shooting at each other. There's a Quick Trip south of the Woodland Hills Mall. And so there's a street next to the Quick Trip. So these gangbangers are shooting at each other. Well, people in the Quick Trip parking lot, they're ducking down because they don't know what's going to happen. I have 2 people in that parking lot with concealed carry on them, and they wait because the gang members never came over, never, no bullets came close to the people, innocent people, and they never unholstered. And that's also the person I want carrying. So they know when to introduce a gun to a situation, but they also know when not to. They were prepared to if those gang members had come over to, hurt innocent people, but it never turned into that. So I'm a big believer. This is not Channel 6 News. This is me, Lori Fulbright. I'm a big believer in guns and gun safety for citizens, for sure, as long as you know you could use it and kill someone, and as long as you go practice and you have the wherewithal.
You learn how to do that.
Yes, absolutely.
And the other thing is, in that respect, you'd be a pretty big target right there, okay?
Mm-hmm.
But if you're laying in this floor, you're not.
Mm-hmm.
If you shoot through a crowd of people, you're going to hit somebody.
Mm-hmm.
If you're laying in this floor and you shoot up, he will hit somebody.
Mm-hmm.
So there's a lot of things that go into that.
There are, and there's a...
Think about you as a target, not a shooter.
Mm-hmm, for sure. And that's, what we have all the time, you guys. I'm amazed when I interview people who were in a church or a movie theater or at a concert, and they hear gunfire, and they don't immediately take off. They're like, well, I thought maybe it was fireworks. Do they shoot off fireworks in a church you know about? Do they shoot off fireworks in your workplace? I tell my coworkers all the time, there's never going to be fireworks in Channel 6. So if you hear pop, 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 get out. Start moving. There's a book out there, you guys, about why it takes us so long to respond. So I'm always about trying to increase my response time. If I hear something, act immediately. But even when the plane hit the second tower, people unplugged their computers. They got their purses out of their desk drawers. It took them too long to respond. And that's a very natural thing in a tornado, in a fire. But the faster we can teach ourselves to respond in an emergency, the better off we'll be. And maybe you hear pop, 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 and you run outside, and then they're like, girl, that was champagne. Okay, I don't care, right? I don't care if I look silly. I'm going to be prepared. So I tell people all the time, if you are in a place where you should not hear pop, 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 don't think about what was that. Move, right? Get out. Yes?
What if you're driving down the interstate or on the back road and you had a flat at night and you're out there all by yourself?
Well, and I would tell you it's not just at night, it's during the day because I see them out there. So obviously I think you need to, if you can, stay in your car with your doors locked and your windows up and call somebody. Call 911, call, a handsome person that can come help you who's got strong muscles. Call AAA. But I don't think, here's what I'm going to give you. I got a 18-year-old girl. She works at Kentucky Fried Chicken. She calls her parents and says, I'm leaving work. She's on I-44 at Sheridan. Her truck dies. So she pulls over and she calls her daddy and says, my truck died. What's daddy say? Stay in the truck. I'll be right there. Well, a guy pulls up in a truck behind her. And he's like, are your doors locked? I'm not trying to scare you. I just want to help you. I'm going to look and see if I can help you, start your car. You stay in there. I'm not trying to scare you. Try it now. No, it's not working. You stay in there. I'm just going to keep trying. Try it now. It's still not working? Okay, hang on. Oh, I figured it out. Come here. So what does she think now? He's nice. He's safe. And what do you think happened the minute she got out of that truck? Yes. They found her body at a cemetery. So I would say, even if they try to be nice, seem to be nice, you need to say, thanks, 911 is coming. Thanks, my husband is coming. Lie. You guys, I am all about lying. For safety, Lord. Right? Someone's on the way. 14 big Marines are on the way. I don't care. And it is hard because I know I can see these men are like my husband. My husband pulled over the other day to help a woman, and she was so scared. And it made him feel so bad because he's a good man. And he just wanted to help her, but he could tell his presence was making her so uncomfortable that he just left, but he called 911 for her. But he's like, Lori, I would have helped her. But we don't know. That's the hard part, is we just don't know. So, and I tell people all the time, you can tell a man's goodness by his reaction. So the other day, I was sitting in my car waiting for my girlfriend, and a man starts approaching me. And I was like, hey, you need to step back from me. He's like, what is your problem? That's not how a good man responds. A good man goes, oh, I wasn't trying to make you uncomfortable, right? And people go, well, Lori, what if you make them madder? Oh, they're already in. Their intent is already there. But I can tell if someone's going to be following my car, I'll turn around like, what do you need? They're like, well, my car's right there. Oh, okay, that's fine. But I don't know. But a good man, you can tell the response. They don't want you to be scared. They do care about you. They would protect you if they needed to, because that's what men do. But you can tell when a man responds in that anger that they already had bad intent. Yes? Yes, it is hard, because I grew up in the country. Every time I go to my brother's house out in the country. Well, if you can change your tire, more power to you. Or if your car's dead, your battery's dead, or whatever, you are going to then have to put your trust in, like if someone pulls over. But you don't have to get out. You don't have to unlock your doors. If they come up and you roll to your window and say, man, I'm trying, I've got somebody on the way, even if you want to lie, but could you help me right now? Maybe my battery's not working, my car's flat. I can't do it right now, claim some injury. But you don't have to get out. That's the thing, as I tell people, you don't have to get out. You can talk through cracking your window and say, I would appreciate your help so much. I do believe, 100%, the reason I can do the crime beat after 34 years, y'all, is I believe there are more good people in this world than bad. I 100% believe that. I just spend 100% of my time with the worst 10%. But most people are good. And I do believe that, you can accept help or you can offer help, but I also think you just have to be smart about it. So. Yeah.
And at 16, she was smart enough to throw her keys, but he shoved her in the car and
Assaulted her, yeah. Yes, and people say all the time, Lori, should we yell help, should we yell fire, not help? Not in Oklahoma. Y'all don't be messing with that nonsense. Just yell help. In Oklahoma, people come to your help. I did interview a self-defense expert. He thinks if you're even better off if you just yell rape. Rape is a word that gets people's attention, and certainly what a man would look and like, what the heck, is going on. But I think you just yell. But I have done that before. I have a 15-foot rule. When I'm out in public, I don't want a 15-foot. I don't want you in my bubble, because if they can get you that fast, you know how people talk their way up to you. Hey, do you have some spare change? Hey, I'm kind of down on my luck, and before you know it, you've let a person get a foot from you, and that's a dangerous place to be. People say all the time, Lori, I let him get too close before I realized. Man, I don't do that. So I have said to someone, stand back. You're too close to me. What do you need? I can hear you from here. No, I don't have any spare change, or whatever it is. Yes, and of course, he's talking about your defensive position, and that is part of that being a hard target, looking like a hard target, having your balance, getting lower on your stance, that I am ready to respond, I am ready to act. That's more natural to men than it is to women, unless you've taken some kind of a self-defense class for sure, but it's all part of looking like a hard target. And then again, they're like, but Lord, I didn't want to hurt their feelings. I don't care about that, y'all. They will get over it. And I will tell you, the vast majority of people that I meet want to shake my hand and love on me because they've seen me on the news. And so I get in that kind of relaxed mode. And the other day, I was coming out of a restaurant in downtown Tulsa, and he goes, aren't you Lori Fulbright? And I'm like, yeah, how are you? Like I always do. And he yanks me to him, and he had me up on my high heels off balance, and he wouldn't let me go. And we're right here. And I thought, how did I let myself get in this situation? So luckily, someone saw it and was like, hey, is there a problem? And he let me go. He was mad about a story I'd done. Of course, I am the crime reporter. So I asked a Navy SEAL friend of mine who I've done a lot of stories with, what do I need to do about that? Because I got to shake people's hands all day long. And 99 times out of 100, it's good. But he said, from now on, when you shake hands, Lori, I need you to have your hand up kind of like you're waving so you can go, bam, you're ready for that. But I was caught off guard. I'll never let that happen to me again. But it is part of that. It is a mindset. It's not living in fear, but it's a mindset of having a plan and being ready. What are you capable of physically? Because we all have different physical capabilities. And what are you capable of mentally? And that's a big factor as well, for sure. Oh, anything can be a weapon, yes. A pencil, an ink pen. So when I got punched on a story, I told you that at the beginning, that I was on a crime scene and a guy punched me. And my instinct, because I grew up on a farm with 3 brothers, was I hit him back. My photographer was next to me, and he could tell the guy had been kind of bumping his chest on me, cussing at me, yelling at me, which, part of my job. But my photographer could tell he was squaring up, which girls don't know that. I know that now. But once he stopped rocking, and he stopped, my photographer picked up the camera like, we're getting out of here. And that's when he heard it, and my sunglasses went flying, then I hit him back. But after that, my photographer and I are like, you are never going to be on a crime scene again, Lori, without a microphone in your hand, because those things are pretty heavy. So from that day forward, I always had something in my hand that could be a weapon, and that was my mic. And I'll tell you the story, you guys. I have a guy, he sleeps on, and he has a 11th story apartment in Tulsa, so 11 stories up. So he never closes his sliding glass doors, because who's going to hop over there like Superman? Well, a meth head did. So my victim is asleep on his couch with his sliding doors open. A meth head jumps from one balcony to another. Why don't they die? I don't know. You know what I mean? I just don't. How's he survive? Normal people, we would all be dead. So the meth head walks past him. Well, that's how he wakes up, is the guy walks past him. So he immediately, my victim, goes to his bedroom, opens the box where he keeps his gun, and it's gone. And he turns around, and the guy's pointing at him. And so the meth head ties him up and puts him on the bed, and he's going through the house to steal stuff. Thankfully, he didn't tie him up very well, because, So my guy gets loose, and he's looking around his apartment like, what do I have as a weapon? Well, his mama had been to Spain and bought him this wrought iron candlestick. Like shaped like a globe that a candle sits in there. He gets that thing, sneaks up behind the meth head. It's like wham, 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 wham. So when the cops got there, the meth head was sitting out in the hallway crying and bleeding. I'm like, anything can be a weapon, right? Even that guy's candlestick. But I've did a whole story with an OHP trooper. You can Google it. And our whole story was, what can you get your hands on that can be a weapon? And it's literally anything. I had a woman leaving Target, and she was loading her groceries. Her little 5-year-old's in the basket, and a guy grabs her. And all she had in her hand was her sack, her Target sack, with paper towels. And she was like, wham, wham, wham. He didn't even want that, right? They want what's easy. He took off running. I'm like, you beat somebody with paper towels. Now that has got to be a record right there. But, anything. You've just got to have that mindset. And it is a mindset, and it takes practice to get to there. Yeah, right here.
I don't have a question. I
Yeah.
just comment, like, we live out in the country.
Of course.
Too, and we've had theft in our home and things like that.
Yes.
So we use shotguns, and
Yes.
I leave the shotgun shells out on my planners where they have to walk the sidewalk to get up to our deck, because we have, Amazon delivery. We have
Oh, all the time.
always breaking down in our driveway.
Yes.
And see the hoods up. I just let them leave it out. I don't even.
Yep.
But that's one of our things, and I tell some of my coworkers who are single and out in the country, I give them the shotgun shells.
Yes. And big muddy boots. If you're a single woman and you live, I don't care, city or country, when my mama was single for a long time, we had big muddy boots on her front porch. We made it look like a man was living in that house. Just any appearance that you can. And that's one of the things I like about these doorbell cameras, you guys, is because you can talk through it. You're sitting here, but you could talk through it like you're there. Leave it on the porch. I can't help you. I'm in the shower. My husband's cleaning the shotgun, whatever you have to say. But when I send a survey, you guys, to all the convicted burglars, 22,000 convicted burglars in the state pen, and I sent them a 10 questionnaire, 10 questions, and I asked these burglars, what do you like in a house? What do you not like in a house? And they filled it out and sent it back. Nothing but time on their hands. So I was the number one thing that these burglars all said by far was a barking dog. So if you have a barking dog, congratulations. That is a great crime prevention tool. They don't care if the dog's going to eat them. They don't care. They don't want a barking dog. Number 2 now, back then, number 2 was an alarm sign. So I told people, even if you don't have an alarm system, which you should, go steal it. Go borrow an alarm sign and put it in your flower bed. And then, but now it's cameras. Number 2 is now they hate to see the camera. But they also hate to see those little stickers that say neighborhood watch. Isn't that cute? They think if you got the sticker, you have neighbors who watch you. I'm like, when growing up, we didn't have a neighbor for 10 miles, but we had the sticker, so okay. But so those are things, barking dog, cameras, alarm signs, that you could know that that's one deterrent for burglars. Yes.
My mom and dad's neighborhood was City Hall, and I stopped a burglar alarm guy who I was eating with the service people.
Mm-hmm.
Gotta get a couple of stickers, which is Joe's burglar alarm.
Burglar alarm.
And I put them in their windows. Then I went down to when they had the electronic radio shack.
Yep.
Bought a little key thing that had a red green light on it for a burglar alarm key. Drilled a hole in my mom's old window thing and installed that. Ran a wire through the inside, hooked up a 9-volt transformer so she could plug it in the wall. When you go to bed at night, plug this in.
Mm-hmm.
Little red light would come on.
Yep. Didn't mean anything. Yep. It is the appearance sometimes. Yep. And that's like my burglar alarm. My house doesn't call anybody, but they don't know that it makes so much noise it would wake the dead. And so, I told my husband I'm fine with that. But just the fact that we have the signs out there, and we have a place at Lake Eufaula, and we own some storage units. And I tell people all the time about all the cameras that we have, and that's really, helps to be a deterrent. So if you can make your house look like a hard target, just like you want to look like a hard target, whether it's real or not, but alarm signs, a fake light, anything you can do, big manly boots. The same thing applies. Make it look like a hard target, just like you want to be a hard target. Yes, of course.
Another thing is, the women never see. Well, if I just go get my husband.
Sure. Oh, yeah, I'm all about lying. Safety, Lord, safety. Yes. Yes, when they're coming at you, there's a bunch of behaviors that I know you see that I think, what I see is with my young reporters, is they'll see a behavior and they know it doesn't make sense, but they ignore it. So let's talk about, like, if you are coming out of Walmart and all of a sudden a guy gets off the bench and he's now tracking your movement, that should be a behavior that gets your attention. Don't go attack him or scream at him, but create space. Creating space is one of the simplest things you can do for safety. Create space. So you can figure out while you're creating space if he's really tracking you to your car or if he's parked out there. Another one that I learned was the guy that was rocking back and forth. And rocking, he's yelling at me, he's cussing at me, and then he stopped. So now I know to recognize that. And when I see that behavior now, I start creating space. Another one is if they refuse to make eye contact. What are you guys doing out here? Is this your farm? Do you guys have any water or gasoline? They won't make eye contact. That's a behavior that should get your attention, and you should think to yourself, create space until I can figure out what it is. Or if they make too much eye contact. Is Channel 6 out here doing a live shot? What are you guys covering? What's going on out here? Right? That's the behavior that's not a typical behavior. And creating space is one of the easiest, best things you can do to put yourself in a safer situation. So, and especially when they're walking up on you wanting money, they're walking up on you wanting a ride, create space until you can sort it out exactly what it is. But if you can stay out of arm's reach, that is always better, because look at us. Most of us are not going to fight somebody off, a man, once they get their hands on us. For women, right? They're bigger, they're stronger. It's just physics. But creating space until you can sort out a situation is a big deal. But we let people get way too close to us, and situations go way too far. Another experiment I did is I had an undercover cop knock on people's doors and say, hey, I'm with the city of Tulsa. I'm with your water heater's got to be 4 inches high. I need to come in and inspect it. Do you know every single man, woman, teenager opened that door and let him in their house? Didn't have a city ID, a badge, a truck. He had jeans on and a sweatshirt and a clipboard. And then one girl, she was a TU student, she felt that door close. She felt that man behind her, and she was like, oh, my Lord, what have I done? Well, guess what? It's too late. You're lucky he pulled out a badge and said, Lori Fulbright's on the front porch and wants to talk to you. But, it's a mindset that we have to have. Oh, yeah. I have that. That's helped so much when people whip out a cell phone and take a picture of a suspect who's doing something or approaching them. Yes?
Okay, so in the 80s, early 90s, I lived in Alaska. My phone rings. It's an officer telling me my husband has been in an accident and tells me where it's at. I sat there. I wasn't stunned at all because my husband
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So I would say more of that's happening now with scammers than actually trying to get you out of a house. So you'll get phone calls all the time from these scammers say your loved one's been in a car wreck, your loved one's been arrested, they're at jail. That's a big one that I see. Your loved one's been kidnapped and we're going to kill them if you don't give us money. So those calls now I see are more scammer related than trying to get you out of a house physically. But the answer is always hang up and call your loved one. I mean, don't even believe for a second your loved one's been kidnapped. They're not in jail. You can't bail them out over the phone anyway. That's the thing I wish people knew. You have to go down and sign a piece of paper in person. But all these scam calls of your loved one's been arrested, kidnapped. I had a lady and she hears screaming when she answers the phone, and they're like, we have your mother, we're going to kill your mother, we're going to chop off your mother's head, blah, blah, blah. We want $150,000. She's like, I got $1,500, but you can have it all. And they're negotiating a price for 45 minutes until her mama, what? Drove up in her driveway. And she goes, girl, why didn't you hang up and call me? And she goes, Mom, how do you hang up when they're threatening to kill your mama? You hang up and call your mama. But I see that scam a lot. The arrest scam, they're in a car wreck scam, and they're been kidnapped scam. I see that. And you guys, I know you know this, but I have a whole separate topic, a speech on scams, cons, and frauds that are going around right now, and it's a very important one. So I would love to come back sometime and give that speech as well, because, man, I'm telling you, that crime affects way more people in Oklahoma than any of these robberies, burglaries, rapes that we're talking about. They affect people, but I'm having thousands and thousands of victims. My biggest victim recently, a woman called me at 7 o'clock at night bawling her eyes out because she and her husband had just lost $4.5 million. And the scammer hit their 3 bank accounts and their retirement. And they've worked their whole lives for that, and they've got nothing. But I mean, I have victims calling me all the time about, losing 50 grand, 5 grand, 1,500 that people can't afford. So I would love to come back and give that speech as well, because that is a crime that affects thousands of Oklahomans. Especially with AI. Y'all, I know you know this, but I just did a video on my Instagram account that you can't trust videos. They're called deep fakes, and you can't trust these deep fakes coming out of Minnesota. You don't know what's real and what's not happening in Minnesota, because you'll see one deep fake that this guy had a gun, one that he didn't, one that he kicked a tail light, one that he didn't. I mean, there's deep fakes everywhere. The Pioneer woman has had to come out numerous times and say, it is not me in that video saying I lost all this weight, go buy this weight loss drug. But it looks and sounds like Ree Drummond. Blake Shelton just came out and said, I see videos of myself saying things all the time, wearing clothes I don't even own. So, I mean, Blake Shelton's had to come out. I mean, AI is very scary, but don't believe, people get so mad and worked up about videos, and I want to go, most of them aren't even true. But it's very hard when you reach a point in society when you can't tell what's true and what's not. It's a very dangerous place to be, but don't believe these deep fakes. And you guys, the scammers that I'm dealing with, they're good. And I tell people, stop thinking, oh, it's a scammer. They are professional rings of criminals. They are highly trained. They are good at what they do, and they are rings and rings of them, and they are making, last year, just Americans, they made $10 billion. Just Americans, not in Europe and Asia, just Americans gave up $10 billion. And the number one scam, without a doubt, is the impersonator scam. I call and impersonate Amazon. I call and impersonate law enforcement. I call and impersonate Social Security. I call and impersonate Medicare. So you just need to say to everybody, I don't give money or information over the phone. I don't give money. Your Social Security card's been compromised. I don't give money or information over the phone. Your bank account's been hacked. I don't give money or information over the phone. I mean, just be done. These text messages, delete every text message you get pretty much if you don't know who it's from. Those are all scams. I got one the other day that said, hey, I'm on my way to your house. I'll be there in 20 minutes. What do you want me to bring? And I almost thought, was somebody coming to my house? And I realized it's a scam. They want you to send back, I don't know you. You have the wrong number. Because now you've proven you're a real phone number, not a computer. My husband did that the other day. He got one, and it said, hey, I missed you Tuesday. Let's reschedule for Thursday. He sent back, bless him, you have the wrong number. And she sends back, oh, you sound nice. My name is Bambi. Let's talk. Oh, we ain't talking to Bambi today or any other day. Oh, that's old. Oh, yeah, the Pipe Pass. How many of y'all got that type? When that was going around, I mean, millions and millions. Oh, yeah, they circle them, so the Pipe Pass one, any text you get, any email you get, any phone call you get, they always have 4 things in common. So stop looking at the story and look at these 4 red flags. They contact you out of the blue. He got a text. Something urgent has happened. You haven't paid your Pipe Pass bill. Something bad's going to happen to your account. I need you to do something. Click this link. Call this number. I'll help you. And 4, what do they need? Money. Every scam has the same 4 red flags. Every email, every phone call, every text message, think to yourself, is it got these 4 things? And they want money that's not traceable. So they're going to say, I'm going to send an Uber driver to your house and pick up cash. Y'all, they're starting to arrest those Uber drivers for that. Or they're going to say, I need you to put your money in a Bitcoin ATM. Have you seen those? They're at gas stations, convenience stores. There's one at Woodland Hills Mall. Never put your money in a Bitcoin ATM. Or they're going to say, wire it to me. Or they're going to say, run to Walgreens or Walmart and buy me a gift card, a Google Play card, an Apple iTunes card, a Green Dot Money card, and put $200 on it. Once you read that number off of the back of that card, it's gone. You cannot get it back. And there's nobody legitimate ever needs money on a gift card. Even if you get an email from your pastor, y'all don't do it. Don't put, and I love my pastor, but I'd call that pastor and say, did you just email me? And he'd say, no, my email's been hacked. I see that all the time, that they think they're getting it from a pastor. So if they want money on a gift card, did you guys see my video? She's 89. They call her out of the blue. They tell her, we found your Google search history and we found terrible things on there. What do you think an 89-year-old woman's Googling? Come on, how to knit? They scare her so bad, they say, go get $9,000 and put it in the Bitcoin ATM at Woodland Hills Mall. Did y'all see this video? She did. She's standing there putting her money in the Bitcoin ATM and some thug sees her, knocks her to the ground, breaks her arm, cuts her forehead, and steals her money. So first, she's being scammed and doesn't even know it. And then 2, they rob her and assault her. It is terrible. But so with all these texts you're getting, all these phone calls, you guys, they are rampant. They are rampant. Think to yourself, no matter what they tell you, think to yourself, did they contact me out of the blue? Did they claim something urgent? Do they need me to click a link, call a phone number, go somewhere like Woodland Hills Mall, and then do they want money? It's always the same. Amen. And here's the hard thing. So my guy that lost $4.5 million, I'll tell you real fast. He gets a computer, a screen pops up on his own computer. He's working in his office at home, and it says this is like NordVPN or this is McAfee, one of those. And it looks real. We've detected a problem with your computer. Call this number. So when he calls, he thinks he's calling someone real. But did he initiate that? No. Did they contact him out of the blue? Did they claim something urgent has happened? They keep him on the phone for 4 hours, and he's so upset. You guys are like, we found child pornography. You're going to go to prison. You're going to be in trouble with the feds. I mean, they make it tell. So they keep him on the phone until the bank's closed. And they even say at one point, I know you're upset. Go get you a bottle of water. Come back. I'm trying to help you. And the guy said, Lori, he was so nice. Well, yeah, right until he sold $4.5 million. So after the bank's closed, he said, okay, I can fix it if you'll give me all your master passwords. He had already given him control of his computer, which don't ever give anybody control of your computer unless you take it to like a Best Buy or Office Depot. So they already had control of his computer, and he gave him his master passwords. And that's when his wife called me, and they were just devastated. You guys, I just had a guy in McAllister. He sold his 4,000-acre ranch that's been in the family for generations. He sold his house, he sold his furniture, and he sold all of his clothing except for one dark suit that he was going to use to marry a woman that he sent all that money to that he met online. The stories, and when I come back to give that speech, y'all, the stories are just heartbreaking. People lose their homes. People declare bankruptcy. People have killed themselves. It is a devastating thing, and these scammers don't care. These criminals, they are like the mafia of the cyber world. They do not care about you. You guys, I got to go to work. Thank you all so much for having me.
I watched you on YouTube.
Oh, yes.
You and the fella talking about these 2 girls.
Yes, the Welch case. Thank you for watching that.
I want to tell you, excellent.
Thank
And I want to keep going. Still, you started on this.
Thank you. I've got one coming out next week.
Hold your whistle.